Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Welcome. So today we'll start with Gita Dhyanam. We'll chant one sloka. I will chant, and then somebody can be ready for Gita Panchamrit chant. They can, whoever wants to chant can unmute and be ready. Then we'll do a quick recap of first four verses. It may not be that quick. I want to add something more also, in this set of verses. So let's try to quickly recap, and then we'll enter into the fifth and sixth sloka. Fifth sloka talks about all the virtues what we need to develop. And then sixth sloka talks about the ultimate goal, what we are going to achieve. So that way, the first six slokas, if you see, the samsara is defined, and also the sadhana to reach the goal, having defined the goal in V6. But in between, from the samsara to reach the goal in 6, he is defining the sadhana. And of course, only a few verses are there. That's why, it's all condensed and so packed. And we'll see that in verse 5 when we see, and also some of the other things what we saw in 3 and 4. So then after doing that, V6, then we'll enter into our regular topic for Mananam and then guided meditation. So that's the plan, and go till about 9:30, 1 or 2 minutes this way, that way. So let's again, for the newcomers, we're trying to see as much as we can pack so that the maximum takeaway will be there in each session. I know all of our times are so precious, especially on Saturday mornings, but at the same time, I'm trying to see what could be the maximum takeaway out of these sessions. And again, like we discussed, if there is any questions, please raise your voice, unmute, and then raise. And at the end of every verse, actually, we'll stop if there is any questions. Okay, good. So with that, let's start Gita Dhyana. One sloka. Now this time I will chant the ninth sloka. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Shanka Padakrapopanishadau Ya Jayanti Yam Samaga ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Okay, whoever is ready, Gita Panchamrit. Please identify yourself and then start chanting.
I'll do it, Shivaji.
Go ahead, please.
Om Paramatmane Namaha Uddvaredatmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Yatmano Bandhuhur Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते सङ्गोत्स्वकर्मणि यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददाति यत् यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो माम् ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Thanks, Darshan. I could see the European touch in the voice. um, so this Gita Panchamrit, as we all know, first three slokas, what we can do, lift ourselves by self-effort, and then do the right action with the right attitude. And if we do those three, then of course Bhagavan comes back in the next two slokas and says that I will protect what you have and I'll give you what you deserve, and I'll also put you in the path of liberation. So very, very nice set of five slokas. Okay. Uh, so we are on chapter 15, a very unique chapter, and supposed to be the complete Shastra included in this, as we saw in the introduction. And also we saw the various topics that are covered, um, which are all actually the topics of what we study in any Shastra, starting from the qualifications to Guru's role, to bondage, to sadhana, to liberation, and so on. And in this, we already covered up to four verses. In the first 2.5 verses, it describes the samsara tree. And also in the second half of the third verse, it says you have to use detachment to cut the tree. And then, of course, it says in fourth verse, seek the root, which is actually Paramatma, because it's the inverted tree with the root being above. So up to four verses we saw. And then we're going to see verse 5 and verse 6. As you can keep this in mind, this slide, the third slide is talking about all the qualities what we have to develop to qualify to reach that goal which is described in V6, verse 6. So those are the up to four we're going to, item number 4 we're going to see. And then with that, I will chant the first four slokas and then try to introduce one or two new things before we get into the fifth sloka. श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमदशाकम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसुतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रबालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्दतानि कर्माणुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा. So up to that third verse, half of that third verse that is up to two and a half, first to 2.5 verses, a description of the tree. And then in the first half of the third verse, it ends with where we can see this kind of tree, the inverted tree, the samsara tree. And of course, we all go through the samsara, but we don't see the root, which is the Brahman, which is here in the samsara tree is inverted samsara tree is described on the top as root. So where we can find it, you cannot really find this, but we all experience it. And then in the second half of the verse 3, it says, cut this tree with what? With the weapon of detachment, asanga. And then the fourth verse, it goes on. And we saw in the previous class, and I shared this table also in the WhatsApp group. And those who have joined newly, either you can contact one of us or we'll share that. Or somebody can put it in the description. Urdhva Moolam, starting from that onwards, we described what the description about the tree and what does it mean and how does it map with respect to samsara. So item by item, actually, we listed this. Again, as we chant, we can have this table in mind and now and then refer, and that way, we'll be able to register how nicely the samsara tree is represented. And we went item by item, from starting from Urdhvam Bulam, Adashakam, Ashwatham, Prahu, Havyayam, and Chandamsi, Parnani, and so on, so on. And then goes on up to the end of verse 2. And that verse 2, and it says, Karmani Bandhini Manushya Loka. This we can see in this Manushya Loka. We can easily map this tree of samsara. That is up to verse 2. And then in the first half of verse 3, that also we saw, Narupamasyeha Tatopalabhyate. And the tree is, we cannot perceive, we cannot see it, but we can experience it. That's why it is Mithya. And how long it has been there? Na antaha na cha hadihi. It is there from the beginning. It is eternally, it appears to be there. And, and also, keeps on varying. And we are not able to find where the real foundation, where it started from, so on. So that is up to the first half of the V3. Now, as I was mentioning, this tree actually description of that is taken from the Upanishads. There are a number of places actually this tree is referred mapping samsara, and Kathopanishad is one of them. In Kathopanishad, actually, this tree is very nicely described. And I just want to show you the flavor of that for a second, so that, if you are interested, then I will share some more details on this. And uh, this tree, okay, let me click this PDF. Okay, before I just scan this here and there, I want to mention this is the commentary by our Gurudev on Kathopanishad. And this mantra actually appears in the last section of Kathopanishad, chapter 2, section 3, mantra 1. And there, the Shankara, Adi Shankaracharya ji writes a beautiful commentary. I'm going to show you a sample of that. Um, the the This is one of the uh, best part of the Shankaracharya ji's commentary. And I'll just read what our Gurudev writes about that commentary. All those who have at least a scrappy knowledge of Sanskrit, a small knowledge of Sanskrit, are advised to get hold of a copy of Sri Shankaracharya's commentary upon this mantra, this particular mantra, Urdhva Moolam. It is a piece of joy. Even the great philosopher Sri Shankaracharya was seemingly carried away into the realm of pure poetry and literature at the beauty of the deep suggestions contained in this mantra. I mean, like that, it goes on. It is so popular, and actually, those who can enjoy it, please feel free. So here the mantra actually, describes the Urdhvamula tree. Urdhvamulo Vakya Vashaka Yeshoshvatha Sanatanaha Tadeva Sukram Tad Brahma Tadeva Tadevamruta Muchyate Tasmin Lokashrita Sarve Tadunatyeti Kashana Etat Vaitad, like that. That is the tune for that. And of course, this eternal Ashwatha tree has its root above, like what we saw in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, the first 2.5 slokas. And the Shankara Bhashya goes on and on and on in describing this sloka. There are several points that are actually, highlighted here, which are, of course, our Lord Krishna has taken this idea from Upanishad. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Upanishad, as we know, and incorporated this. Of course, he had only 2.5 slokas to describe this, only some part of this, and Shankaracharya actually expands this, with the various, you know aspects of this tree and describing the samsara fully. And if we want to know about the samsara, then here is the, and also, like what Gurudev said, in a very poetic form, actually, it describes this. Again, as I said, I'll share this PDF to those who are interested. And finally, like Lord Krishna says in chapter 15, you have to cut this tree. By what? Vedanta Vihita Brahmatma Darshana Asanga Shastrikrita Uchyate. Cut down by the weapon of detachment born out of the knowledge of Brahman as taught in Vedanta. Using that kind of a dispassion, you cut this tree. Like that, he concludes and goes on. And I just want to show you this sample just to get a flavor of the Shankaracharya's commentary, and also to show that, this sloka, first 2.5 slokas is taken from Upanishads. Okay, now I'll go back to our slide. Right? Okay, good. So with that, actually, we saw the first 3 verses, and the third verse actually ended with the last 2 line, Ashwattamenam Suviruda Moolam Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitva. So cut this tree with that sword of non-attachment. So we'll have to develop vairagyam. We'll have to develop that dispassion. So we also saw Shankara Bhashya, and that asangaha namaha vairagyam. Tena shastrena chitva. So cutting is not physical distraction of the tree. You don't physically, but mentally, we have to drop that dehatma bhava. We saw all these things, and having cut the tree with the dispassion, vairagya, what should we do? So that's the next question. That's actually asked in the 4th sloka. Because we should not stop with just cutting the tree with vairagyam. We should actually, we having detached, as Gurudev says, detach and attach. We have to detach from the lower and attach to the higher. So that attaching part to the higher part of it is talked about in the 4, 5, 6, the verse number 4, 5, 6. So mere dispassion alone is not enough. Of course, we have to develop the other things also. What are the other things? Now, dispassion is talked about in verse 3. What are the other things? Other things are surrendered to Bhagavan and do Vedanta Vichara. And before doing Vedanta Vichara, we'll have to develop qualification. And that's why the verse 5 comes into the picture, which we are going to see today. So keep that structure in mind. That way, when we chant the chapter 15 also, all these things will flash in our mind and we'll be enjoying it more. So these are the other three qualifications we're going to see: surrender, and Vedanta Vichara, and Sadguna, of which in verse 4 we already saw the second and third, surrendering and Vedanta Vichara. How we saw that? Let us see that. Tatapadam tat parimargitavyam. That's what we chanted. And if you look at the third line, Tameva sachadyam purusham prapadye. Prapadye, you surrender. To whom? Yata pravritti prasudha purani. From whom? From that Ishvara, from where the creation has come, from time immemorial time, it has come. And that Purusha, who is eternal, to him you surrender. That is the third and fourth line. We saw this already. And in the first and second line, the word tata is very important. That is after preparing the mind. How do we prepare the mind? Verse number 5 is coming, right? But after preparing, that is, after preparing means, it is a lot of work is to be done. Qualification is a must, right? Then, padam tat parimargitavyam. Parimargitavyam is actually to represent, that is the equivalent of saying Vedanta Vichara. Do what Vedanta Vichara? You go to Padam. Padam is the ultimate goal. Yasmin Gadana Nivartante Puyaha. Once we reach there, once we have that self-realization, and once we get into Bhagwan's abode, and once we become one with him, then there's no coming back. He's going to highlight that point in verse 6 also, when he elaborates the nature of the goal. So that is the overall picture what we saw. And the word tata also is important because it has to, we have to qualify ourselves. And that's what actually, Adi Shankaracharya also, not in this, he writes a lot of commentary on that word tata, which is equivalent to Atato Brahma Jignasa, is the first sutra in Brahma Sutra. And that atha there, after that, actually, lots of commentaries there, how to prepare oneself before actually we do this parimargitavyam, Vedanta Vichara. So with this, up to 4 verses, we have seen 3 of those qualifications that are needed: dispassion, surrendering, and we have to do Vedanta Vichara. But with a caveat that Vedanta Vichara, before we do, we should develop the Sadgunas, the virtues. And that comes in the verse 5. So that's the overall picture what we have seen up to 4th verse. Now with that, let's enter into the 5th verse. Okay. Any question, any comments so far? We're going to go to 5th and stop there, and then afterwards 6th, and then stop there. But if any questions so far, then otherwise, feel free to
Yes.
interrupt. Go ahead.
Hariom, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Hariom Shivaji. So you said Atha and Tatha. So are they both just situational, or because you have actually emphasized on both of those in your
Yeah, both are same. They're not situational. Both mean actually we have to develop the necessary qualification. And yeah, both are same.
thank
All
you.
right.
That's
Oh, sure. Okay. Verse 5. निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसङ्घे गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययं तत्. So, as I said, verse 5 is all developing about various qualifications. What is the need for developing this? And here he is saying nirmana moha, jitasanga dosha. It's all very personal, right? That is, you get rid of your pride, you get rid of your moha. We'll see all those things. And it's going, it's instructing to the personal level. You have to wipe off your pride, or moderate, all the other things. And like that, one by one, he is actually questioning. Our Gurudev is got a beautiful 2-minute clip on that.
As he asked earlier, the earlier chapter, same question in Arjuna's mind. I have educated myself in various departments or arts and sciences. Nowhere have they ever interfered with my personal life. You are the guy. When I ask a question about the higher reality, why are you interfering with my personal life? Huh? Be a celibate, don't overeat, onwards to give up your mana and pride and delusions, conquer your attachments and the consequent evils that arise from attachments, constantly and regularly study your scriptures, let all your desires retire. Thus bring yourself into equipoise and balance in the changing vicissitudes of life, experience in life. Why are you interfering in my personal life? You have nothing to do with it. It is my personal life. I may get excited, agitated. Why are you worried? You explain to me the truth. Full stop. All these conditions we have to create. If you want directly to go into that state of experience. If you are studying what is sleep, how do people sleep? You want only an objective information and answer the questions in the question paper. You need not. But if you want to sleep, you'll have to create those conditions in you directly to go to experience of sleep. Then you'll have to. Think. So there the teacher says it is because of the uniqueness of the subject matter that you have come to my feet to study. It is not an objective science, or else I would have followed the methodology of the universities. But those methods of objective sciences are not available in the subjective study because this great truth, what it is, we cannot explain. We can only show you the path, and you have to reach out and understand. Therefore, your discipline, personal discipline, is unavoidable.
Were you able to hear the audio? I didn't want to share.
Yeah, Shivaji, we
Okay,
could.
very good.
Not very clearly, Shivaji. It was a
Oh,
little faint.
Yeah, the
oh,
audio was not that clear. Audio was there, we could hear it, but it is and low and it is not fully clear.
oh, okay.
But it's
Uh,
understood. We can understood
mm,
the message that was
okay,
understandable.
very good, very good. And fortunately, the subtitles also were there, so
You're
that's
right.
good.
It's
Yeah. So, couple of important points, why this qualifications we'll have to develop, and why that is emphasized. There, Gurudev actually, apart from highlighting the other points, is bringing out one important point which we should remember. We are all actually used to, of course, in the university, in the school, the university, everywhere, wherever we attend, we actually, used to the objective way of learning. But this learning our scriptures, is all about us, the subject, and hence it needs a different approach, and it needs that set of qualifications which is different from studying in the university, becoming a scholar, and so on. So that point actually is, and that's why we have to work on the qualifications in us. It's a different set of qualifications. It's not that, we read something and then understand and then memorize and then, repeat in the answer sheet and so on. But it is all about us. And that's why some of these virtues, what we're going to see is a sample in the verse 5, it's directly, it's us. And what are they? We'll see that. These virtues are all actually defined in various places. In the 13th chapter also, he has given a lot. In 12th chapter also. And then he's going to talk about in the 14th and 15th chapter also, 14th and 16th chapter also. 16th chapter also some more, and so on. So, but here in this one sloka, he has summarized it. Again, chapter 15, as I said, it's just it represents the Shastra. Then also, it addresses all the topics. And obviously, each topic being so vast, he can dedicate 1 or 2 slokas only for each of those topics. So for developing these virtues, verse 5 is actually dedicated. Nirmana moha. Nirmana, nirmoha. Nirmana, the pride. We have to get rid of our pride, which is a very difficult one, we all know. And we have to get rid of that delusion. And nirmana, and of course, for each of these, we can keep talking for a long time. But I'll just read our Gurudev's commentary on this particular line alone, and then we'll go through the other line faster. From the pride and delusion, free from the pride and delusion. Nirmana moha, nirmana nirmoha. Free from the pride and delusion. Both these qualities of pride and delusion indicate a false, exaggerated estimate of oneself and of others. Right? That is erroneous, actually, exaggeration. So erroneous estimate of one's own importance is called pride. Erroneous erroneous estimate of myself. Oh, I'm so great. And what do you know? That's the erroneous estimate. Erroneous estimate of one's own importance. I am the most important person, but for me, this, nothing would have happened. Erroneous estimate of one's own importance is called pride. And it brings about an enormous amount of heavy responsibilities upon oneself to maintain it. Once we actually have that pride that, I am great, then you put all your effort in the wrong direction to maintain that state, right? We have to do a lot of show off to make sure that, you're really, there. And all our effort goes there. There is no other time thereafter to cultivate oneself or to seek knowledge or to get truly educated. Similarly, on the the delusion side, similarly, error in judgment regarding things and beings, happenings, and situations in this world outside is called delusion. Error in judgment. We judge wrongly. That's where delusion comes, right? And that we should avoid. It makes us live in a falsehood. So when we when we have this delusion, we always live in falsehood. And like that, actually, Gurudev, and hope you all have this commentary by Gurudev, and goes on. For each one of this, actually, it describes. I would strongly urge to read that commentary for each one of this, but I'll capture at the very high level what each one of this means, which, from that you can take on and then contemplate. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosha. Jitasanga dosha. Who conquered the evil of attachment. Sanga dosha. That sanga, the attachment, jita sanga dosha. You conquer that. Vinivritta kamaha. Free from their desires. Binding desires, and of course, nobody can be free of the question will come, oh, desire, what there's a desire for me to drink water, that kind of thing. But desire here, actually, we should always qualify the binding desires. Oh, I did not have this, I wish I had that, and that keeps on brooding over. Now that kind of a binding desires, we should actually get rid of it. Then Dvandvair vimuktaha. Dvandvarvi muktaha. That is free from all the pairs of opposite. Pairs of opposite, such as pleasure, pain, heat, cold, and honor, dishonor, like that, so many things actually we can list the pairs of opposites. And when some pleasure comes, we all get excited. When pain comes, of course, our Gurudev also gives a lot of good examples for that. So we should actually maintain equanimity, samatvam, if we are able to develop that. And that is Tvandvairvi Mukta Sukha Dukkha Sankayi. Then Adhyatma Nityaha, who are ever committed to spiritual pursuit, always would actually keep that in mind, that, that how am I having that Sakshi Bhava in doing things? That we should often check whether the tambura is going on in the background, and who are actually committed, amudaha, who are committed to this path. And they will actually attain gachanti, they will attain that goal. Gachanti. That is the very high level description of these virtues. And as I said, of course, each one of this we can relate to and also we can apply it. Now, let's take a couple of them, like say Adhyatma Nityaha, who are ever committed to the spiritual pursuit. How do we understand this? And also Gachanti, we attain moksha. Adi Shankaracharya ji actually, comments some of these things and all. I've selected one or two of that. So once we have all these things, the last one is that Abhyayam Padam. That person actually attains that imperishable goal. Abhyayam, imperishable. Padam is the goal, the ultimate goal. That person achieves this. That is the verse number 5. Nirmana moha jidasanga doshaha adhyatma nityaha vinivritta kamaha tvandvaivi muktaha sukha dukkha sangaihi gacchantya modaha padam avyayam tade. Those who are free from this, etc., they will achieve that goal which we saw. Now, Adhyatma Nityaha, who are ever committed to the spiritual pursuit. Adhyatma Nityaha, Paramatma Surupa Alochana Nityaha, Tatparaha. That's the Bhashyam actually of Shankaracharya. What does it mean? Those who are ever established in Atma, in the inner divinity, in self, constantly reflecting on the true nature of Supreme Self. That inner divinity is in me. Actually, that if we're able to abide in that Shakshi Bhava and then carry out the transactions, then you are Adhyatma Nityaha. Our Guruji very nicely puts it for Adhyatma Nityaha in a simple language. Spirituality is not a particular action you do. It's not that, I have to, sit down and do this. No. It is the vision behind all actions. Anything what we do, we keep doing. But while the transaction is going on, while we're interacting with this world, we maintain that Sakshi Bhava. And with that Sakshi Bhava, if we interact, and that is actually, we are making a lot of progress. That is Adhyatma Nityaha. So that, I like that, we can, each one of these words, actually, we can expand this. Now, I've put together how to remember this verse number 5, all the things what he has mentioned in an akranam. This akranam, I thought, it'll be easy to remember, and also it'll be kind of a daily check for us, we can actually, at the end of the day, we can remember this freedom, akranam freedom. The first letter, F, is free from pride and delusion, nirmana moha. Next letter, R. I'll share this in the WhatsApp group. I'll share this so that we can have this as, print this and keep it somewhere. And then take a checkpoint at the end of the day. Did we have the situation where we are pushed to the corner, where we showed our pride showed up, our delusion showed up? And did we act in such a way that we were not attached to that situation? Adhyatma Nitya, did we have the Sakshi Bhava when we interacted with this world, right? Vinivritta Kamaha, how was our binding desire for the day? Was there any situation where we developed any binding desire? And like that, we can have a checkpoint. Freedom. Each one of the letter I have given the checkpoint, and at the end of the day, when if what all we we can assess, do a scorecard for ourselves, and then look at the last line. How do we measure? Honestly, if there is one S at least for each one of this, then we are making progress. At least one S.
Just one
Okay.
Shivaji, that's it. I think I can try. Otherwise,
No,
my entire life will be disrupted. These many strict.
all of us, all of
It's
us, all of us actually,
it's
that
like
way.
a checklist actually. It's like a
Yes,
checklist to
exactly.
check each
And
day.
yes, and for a few days when we practice, then this checklist will automatically be there in our mind. And not only that, when any interaction will take place, oh no, did I act with pride and delusion? Oh, nirmana moha, F for freedom. So like that, and all, it will automatically come up, and then that will in turn, help us to flash a red light, you know, before we actually act. So that way, I thought this acronym will be useful to remember this verse 5. Of course, we can remember it as a verse 5, Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Doshaha, like that and all we can do. But if we remember this way, then each one of these actually we can, at the end of the day, we can checklist. And you can even put a check mark at the end of the fourth column or something, and then have a tick mark for each day, like that. So I thought it's a very important sloka because we have to develop our qualification, and Bhagwan Krishna has captured that qualification. Sadhara Sadushtya, the entire thing actually he has packed it in this one sloka. From Viveka to Vairagya to Shat to Mumukshutvam, Amuda. See, that's Mumukshutvam. We have to be moksha bound, right? That is M. So till then, he has all these things he has captured. So when we checklist this and then make the progress, then automatically we are developing the sadhanas, the qualifications. So I thought this verse being so important, I will spend that much of time.
Shivaji, I can see this is going to go viral now. It's amazing.
Good. Thank you.
Uncle, we should make a shorts with it. What does freedom truly mean?
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you like. Yeah, it was so nice actually to, anyway, I'll share this, and please, let's try for, if you try for 21 days, it'll become part of us. So let's do that.
Hari Om Shivaji, I'm also thinking that, as we are probably checking ourselves, right? Keeping this as our probably like
Yeah,
a motto. But
yeah,
when we also attend a satsang,
yes.
how does this reflect versus when you do not? Or when you actually put some effort to read
Right.
something, and then,
Good.
how does it affect? Probably
Exactly.
that I'm just thinking aloud there.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
sure. Definitely. There are all lot of side effects also. For example, the Adhyatma Nityaha, will automatically direct us towards satsang, you know. So like that, as we start practicing, uh, we'll experience that. So good. So that way the verse 5 is so important. Um, so then with this, we covered all the four major aspects of what Lord Krishna is actually emphasizing in the first 5 verses to develop so that we can move forward. See, dispassion at the end of the third sloka, and fourth sloka was talking about surrendering and Vedanta Vichara after Tataha, which means actually the Sadguna, the virtues have to be developed in verse 5. Then with that, actually, we are ready to now go to the goal. Now, that's where the
Before
V6. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Shivaji, before
Go
we
ahead.
go to verse 6.
Sure,
Quick question.
sure.
Can you give some examples
Yeah,
between pride and confidence? There is a fine line in that
yeah. Um, See, pride
during
is
the
something.
working or activity.
Yeah, yeah. I can do. Maybe others also can jump. The way I understand, the pride is actually the confidence is something which I am confident about chanting of this verse, right? Um, I'm confident about chanting Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 and participate in the Samarpanam for Guinness World Record. These are all confidence, right? But at the same time, if I erroneous estimate of one's own importance, if I don't participate in the Samarpanam, um, and there are 30 other people who are following me, they are not going to participate. And hence, I am so important to do this. And that is the pride. You are confident plus something else. That's where the difference comes in.
Shivaji, I think
I,
Darshan here, right?
oh,
I would say, as
Yeah,
you said, right, the confidence comes from the true knowledge,
yeah,
pride comes from the erroneous knowledge.
correct.
I also
Erroneous
think,
estimate.
I know,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I also think confidence comes from abiding in the Lord and in the self, and
Mhm.
arrogance comes from abiding in the false ego.
False ego, correct. So that's why,
So I
the
have a
Gurudevs,
quote actually.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
I have a quote by Gurudev. It says, "Confidence is not denial or suppression of fear, but confidence makes us daring enough to face our fears, work on them, eliminate them, and reach out to greater goals in life."
Excellent, excellent. And whereas the erroneous estimate of one's own importance is called pride. So, so that way there is a big difference. So I hope that
But
answers
Uncle
your
Ji,
question.
pride itself,
Yeah,
the word
yeah,
pride itself is not a bad word. It's the context that it is used in. Like false pride is wrong. But I take pride in being a member of Chinmay Mission. That's not wrong. I
yeah,
just wanted to point that out. The
yeah,
context we use the word pride is
yeah,
important.
yeah, correct.
I was going to.
And at the same time, I am the member of proud to be member of Chinmaya Mission Alpharetta. That is good. But at the same time, I'm proud to be the secretary of Chinmaya Mission Alpharetta, and through me only everything has to go through. That is, then the pride factor comes in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah,
Somebody else.
good point. I just want. I don't know why this. I mean, the question. I don't get the question about pride and confidence. These are two different things, in my view. I'll tell you what I feel about pride. Right. For example, if I feel good about something, I don't really care about other people, what other people think about me. They may think it's pride. So, but in my context, in my point of view, I don't really care about what world thinks about me. If I am happy with the way things are going in my spiritual progress, etc. I mean, I'm strictly speaking in spiritual context. Even other cases also, I really feel that way. But confidence, again, the same thing. So when you actually have a good hold of who you are, when you know what you're doing, then you are 100% confident. I mean, you're not like, if I don't think a human being cannot be confident and still be able to accomplish a lot of things, or not, either way, right? Everything I think is rated when you only put in reference to something else, like some other people or a society or community or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just confused about this question and conversation.
And no, I
Hariom,
think,
I,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry,
So
Shivaji.
one last comment. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no,
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I think within it's more about it's not about what society thinks, it's more about where it originates within yourself.
Mhm.
right? If the confidence and pride are both within us. So if you're walking around being prideful, you know that originates from a negative place or a false place. But if you're confident in your path and your spiritual progress, no one can take that from you. But you know within you at the end of the day that that comes from the right place.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it is not in reference to, so why do you care about what other people think, or what the society or community
Oh,
thinks?
okay.
Second thing that I wanted to add is I think the pride in a wrong way is because of ignorance and not because of all the other things, because you just don't know that it's right to actually show off like that or something like that. I just felt I wanted to add that, because I didn't know if pride is in reference to other people or if it is in reference to yourself. Because when I am thinking about something that, even in like very layman limited knowledge, I still feel confident about that knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you have to be proud of yourself. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Shiva. Um,
Shivaji, just one more thing, like if I can add just one more a line, like prakite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. That's all.
Good. Yeah, now you got the idea. Appreciate all your feedback, and hope Milind you have an idea now. So you can consolidate and then good discussion. So uh, and this topic is pride versus confidence. We can keep on dissecting it even further also. But anyway, we've got enough input now. That's good. All right, good. So shall we proceed? Yes. Right. Now we are on the fifth verse, going into sixth verse. न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. Beautiful sloka. And once it is understood, it's very simple. As Gurudev comments in this just beginning of this sloka, um, it is the honest attempt to describe the goal. What is the nature of the goal? The padam, what was referred. What is the nature of that goal actually one has to attain? Honest attempt, because that goal is something like we saw in the previous video clip also. It is a subjective analysis, subjective understanding. So to that extent, any amount of effort what we put to define this goal will fall short, but this is the honest attempt. This glorious state of perfection, I'm reading Gurudev's commentary. This glorious state of perfection is the goal which almost all verses in Gita consistently indicate. And though it is an absolute state, here an honest attempt is being made to describe it in terms of finite phenomena. So we can only describe, using the finite things what we know. Only using that we can define, and that's the honest attempt what he is making here. Now that is one point. The other point is this sloka, like some of the other slokas, Lord Krishna has taken it from Kathopanishad. And not only Kathopanishad, but Mundaka Upanishad also. There is a mantra which is actually there in Mundaka Upanishad and Kathopanishad, etc. In fact, the first line is kind of almost verbatim of this. And this mantra, we are all very popular, very, very familiar with that. And all of us should be familiar with that. And that mantra is this one. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुपादि सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. We all know, we are very familiar with this. And this is actually now appears, as I said, in both Kathopanishads in chapter 2, section 5, mantra 5, sorry, mantra 15. And what does it, we have been chanting it, but what does it mean? Let's understand this mantra first, then we'll go back to our verse 6. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyamagnihi. The sun does not shine there. Tatra Suryo Bhatina. Chandra Tarakam, nor the moon shines there. Tarakam, stars, nor the stars shine there. Vidyutam, Vidyuto, lighting, the lighting. Or Pavaka, the fire, Agni. So these are all the 5 natural sources of light, natural sources of light, the illumination. The mantra takes these 5 examples of 5 sources of natural sources of illumination and to say that even these natural sources of illumination actually shine in the presence of Brahman only. When he shines only, everything else shines. By his light only, all these 5 natural sources of light also shine. I know. So actually, when we do Aarti and all that, we are actually showing that this particular light, what I'm having, the camphor lamp, what I'm showing you, Bhagwan. Bhagwan here is not only the idol there, it is the ideal behind that idol. We're actually invoking Brahman and say that this light is nothing. This light is also is a light illuminating in your because of your light only. All these things actually shine because of this. That is the actually. So here in this mantra in Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad is taken all the 5 sources of the natural lighting. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita, in our sloka, he has taken only 3 of those. Surya, Chandra, and fire, Pavaka. Tatra Suryo Bhatina Chandra. That is how the first mantra, the first line of the mantra goes. Here, Natad Basayate Suryaha Nasa Shankona Pavakaha. So, Natad Basayate Surya he has taken. Na Shashanko, Chandra, moon he has taken, and Pavakaha, fire he has taken. So he says, neither does the sun shine there, nor the moon, nor fire, to which having gone, they don't return. So once you attain that goal, ultimate goal, once you do merge with Brahman, once you are aware of your true self and abide in your true self, then there's no return. Of course, we continue to do our transactions, but we are actually playing that role only, but inside Rama. Outside drama, inside Rama will happen once we get to that state. That is the assurance, that is the goal. And who can get there? Only when we have all those qualifications mentioned up to verse 5, what we saw before. And with that, actually, we'll be able to, with Vedanta Vichara, we'll be able to get that goal. And once we reach there, there's no return. There's a lot of commentary on this. And Adi Shankaracharya also, gives elaborate commentary. And of course, Gurudev also, we're going to see a clip may not be today, but we'll see that clip next time. Adi Shankaracharya ji says, there is a Purva Pakshi, there is opponent asks, when it says, having gone there, you don't return. If you're going somewhere, then that means actually, that going part of it is involved, the movement is involved. Once the movement is involved, then there has to be an end to that also, right? So anything actually attained will also be having an expiry date. So that kind of a opposition comes. Then, of course, Adi Shankaracharya ji responds, with that. I don't know, this is the part of the Bhashyam, but we'll see this later. But basically, how can you claim that reaching the abode has no return? So Adi Shankaracharya very nicely answers. This some of us actually reflected earlier also in the other, when we studied the Kenopanishad. The going is not really traveling to another place, because when we say we go and abide in Brahman, Brahman is all pervading. The inner divinity is in us. What is the distance between traveling from you to you, from me to me, is nothing. It is actually removal of that wrong notion. And the wrong notion is actually I had been identifying myself with this body, mind, intellect complex. That is what I was calling as myself. But shifting that attention from this body, mind, intellect complex, Dehatma Bhava, to Atma Bhava, this shifting from small I to capital I, is does not involve any movement per se. It is only, something like waking up from dream. There is no movement. So that is the explanation, actually, what Adi Shankaracharya also explains. And on that last line, because people may get confused or they may misunderstand, having reached there, that means we have to travel. No, it is just removing that ignorance, self-ignorance, then which actually, gives the self-knowledge. So that is the point actually is highlighted there. There's a beautiful clip, which actually are 2 minutes, but we'll see that later. And here, toward the end also, our Gurudev lays the foundation for the subsequent verses of the chapter. So we'll see that later. And what are the subsequent verses of this chapter? And we are going to see about Jiva, that is all of us. What is the nature of Jiva, that is all of us, and what kind of ups and downs we go through, what happens after death, and how long that keeps on going, and is there an end to this? And all this thing actually comes in that verse 7 to 11, that 5 slokas. And then in the 12 to 15, how Bhagwan is everything. Vishwarupa is this, the entire universe is his body. That Vibhuti is highlighted in 12 to 15. And then, of course, about Purushottama in 16, 17, 18. And then finally it concludes. So that's the structure. So this slide you keep in mind, even while chanting also, this slide, if you can keep in mind, then it will be very helpful to, really enjoy the message that is coming out of the slokas. So with that, that is concludes the V5 to V6. Any question, any comments so far? We're good? Okay, good. All right, topic for Mananam. Thanks for all those who responded. Please, reflect on these topics. It is, if it's possible, please share. I would strongly urge you to share this, and I go through every one of them and then give my comment also. And others also can talk to you on one-on-one basis or text you. But it's very important, actually, we are also designing the topic in such a way that it will be useful for understanding the subsequent sloka, what is coming up, and also in the whole picture. So now with that, this is the one which the last one, the topic two, which some of you are responding. That's good. And others also please read. Now the next one for this week, and maybe it may need more than 1 week also. Let us see. Reflect, clarify, and share the effect of understanding this statement. The statement is, before I die, I should know that I don't die. For some of us, it may be um, not all that welcome statement, but it is a fact. So we'll have to, being in this path, being sadhakas, we have to actually analyze this kind of statement. And that way only, we'll be able to digest more and more in terms of what we are studying and assimilate it. So I will post this, of course, as usual in the WhatsApp group. Please do reflect and share. Okay. If there's any questions also, please feel free to text me. We have 10 more minutes. Let's do meditation. So we follow these steps: asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. First two, yama and niyama, on day-to-day basis while transacting with this world, we practice. But at the seat of meditation, the third step onwards, we practice. And the last three steps that vary depending upon the type of meditation what we do: dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. The type of meditation can broadly be classified under this: preparatory meditation, where we meditate upon certain values, any of those virtues what we can take and then meditate upon, and remember the teaching. Then the Upasana meditation, we can meditate upon our Ishtadevata, or we can meditate upon this Vishwarupa, that entire universe as his body. All these ups and downs and plus and minus and all these things actually we see, bad and good, everything we see in this world, and that is all Bhagavan. And we can meditate upon that. Or remember the teaching, Vedantic teaching at the seat of meditation, and that is Vedantic meditation. So we have been doing these things different on different days, different every week, one thing or other. Initially, we went through the whole process in step by step, but we are actually switching from one to another. Today, we're going to do Vedantic meditation. Next 7 to 8 minutes. Before that, we chant couple of slokas. नानारूपव्यतीतोऽहं चिदाकारोऽहमच्युतः सुखरूपस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः अन्तर्यामि स्वरूपोऽहम् कूटस्थः सर्वगोऽस्म्यहम् परमात्मस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः. Comfortable asana. Maximum base, back, neck, and head perpendicular to the base. Eyes gently closed. Relax the body. Scan the body from head to toe. Relax the body. Instruct yourself not to move the body for a few more minutes. Turn your attention to breathing. Make the breathing smooth and rhythmic. Inhaling and exhaling, smooth and rhythmic. The thought flow in the mind is already subsiding. Be a witness to any other thought that is arising. In Vedantic meditation, we remember the teaching and try to assimilate the teaching. By remembering the teaching, we try effortlessly to be aware of our true self. Dhyanam nama surupasya sahajam bhanamuchyate. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, one of the teachings from Bhagwan is a sadhaka should know the difference between kshetram and kshetrajnam. That is anatma and the atma. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yat jnanam matam mama. Knowledge of the anatma has also knowledge of the knower of the field, kshetrajna. Both are considered by me as knowledge. Kshetram, which is anatma, is object of experience that includes everything from body, mind, outward. Whereas Kshetrajna is the inner divinity in me, I, the subject. Kshetrajnam Kshetram is subject to change, but Kshetrajna, I, the subject, is changeless. The entire universe, starting from my body, mind, all belong to changing Kshetram. All the bodies of all jivas are changing Kshetram. All the minds of all jivas are changing Kshetram. We can never predict the changes of our body, our minds. And we cannot explain the changes also. Since this Kshetram Anatma is unstable and unreliable, depending on this Kshetram Anatma, which is ever changing, is very risky for our peace and happiness. In Vedantic meditation, I must ascertain when I use the world for transaction, I will never rely on the Kshetram for my peace and happiness. The only source I rely upon for my peace and happiness is Kshetrajna, that is my true self. This Kshetrajna is Bhagavan. This Kshetrajna, the inner divinity, is Bhagavan as revealed by Bhagavan himself. Kshetrajnam chapimam viddihi sarva kshetreshu bharata. While transacting in this world, I remember this teaching of Bhagavan. I try to be abiding in that Sakshi Bhava, this Kshetrajna, which is the only source of peace and happiness. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om